to the Wednesday evening Quantum Transcendence Gathering, where our primary purpose is to create a community of like-minded, like-hearted individuals that inspire, encourage, and support one another along our individual and collective journey towards personal transformation. Our focus does not rest upon beliefs, habits, or behaviors that led us to this group, rather on the vision that we hold for our future and how our growing collective can help support. We are not a religious group, nor do we follow a specific spiritual tradition. Our wish is that this remain a conflict-free atmosphere, honoring and respecting all forms of spiritual and personal growth so long as they cause no harm. We don't follow any specific literature at this time, and we're open to sharing the various methods of transformation that have worked for our members. Our group does not exist to make any person or group choice right or wrong, but solely to support and inspire personal growth for the individual and the collective. So Brian is going to lead us in our opening meditation, and then we'll get into it.
I'll do a quick introduction. So Brian, how I found Brian was, I think you guys know, I am somebody who is big into online meditations, and I have studied all the different heart coherence meditations, and I've compiled them into a playlist online, and Brian's was one that was it's top notch. So I started doing Brian's heart coherence meditation. And then I found, as I was doing his heart coherence meditation, I realized he was releasing a new meditation every week that was high level of the coolest topics in the world. So I started following him a little bit, and it turns out he has this incredible podcast called the Reality Revolution podcast. He just released a book called The Reality Revolution, the mind-blowing movement to hack your reality, which I suggest we all get, because we're all trying to just, hack our reality and become the best versions of ourselves. He's created the Advanced Success Institute, which basically compiles all the coolest modern techniques, cutting edge science, and has compiled them into trying to awaken others. And it's fascinating. I was reading it. I suggest you check out his website, check out his YouTube, but at the core of it, he's deeply committed to awakening other people. So I think that's what we're all about. So Brian, thank you so much for joining us, and take it away.
Kyle, I'm really honored that you invited me here. And so I'm honored to do some meditations with you guys and do a little speaking. So you asked me to do a couple. So we're going to start off, you wanted to raise your vibration. So what we're going to do in this first meditation, we're going to do a heart coherence. We're also going to solidify our energy bodies. And then we can use that and anchor that later when we do another meditation. So this is going to be very similar to what we've done before. We're not going to do any I'm not going to do any heavy fire breathing at the beginning, but what we want to do is we want to just relax, close your eyes. It's okay. Just wherever you're at, just sit comfortably in your chair. Just there's a part of you when you start to meditate that's going to be kind of shifty and moving around a little bit, and you get comfortable with your body first. And then as you do that, you go to that still point and try to remember all the times that you've ever meditated. There's always that point at the beginning where you go to that place deep down, and just go to that still point just for a few moments. And as we do that, I just want you to become aware of your breath. Just become aware of it. And then slow down your breath. There's a natural breathing motion that you have that is a little bit faster. So we want to slow it down. Place your hand on your heart and move your attention to your heart. It can just be a couple fingers, but we want to align our hearts and our minds. So just place your attention on your heart and breathe in for 6 seconds. And hold it. And then breathe out for 6 seconds. And as you breathe out, all the tension and crud that you've accumulated through the day just goes out. Then as you drop to the emptiness of your breath, just hold it for another 6 seconds. And then breathe in again for 6 seconds. Aligning your heart and mind. Get into the rhythm of your heart and your mind at the same time. What's happening is you're becoming like a laser. You are a light, but a light can become a laser when focused. And when your heart and mind become coherent, then both together become like a laser. It's amazing. So just keep on breathing in and then holding it for 6 seconds. And then breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then for 6 seconds, just rest in the stillness. And then while we're doing this, I want you to add an emotion, gratitude. Bring up an emotion of gratitude. That's usually the easiest. Or appreciation. And feel it in your whole body, in your stomach, in your chest, and everywhere. And we're going to completely feel this, and we're going to bring it up. And as we do that, we're continuing to coordinate our heart and mind, bringing up this emotion, this feeling of gratitude. And we're going to just rest in this gratitude for a few moments. Now we're just going to breathe in for 6 and out for 6. We don't need to hold it or at the end. But what I want you to do is rest your hands on your lap and place your forefinger and finger together. And we're going to create an electric circuit. And we're going to breathe in. And it creates a circuit in your body. And then breathe out. And as we do this, I want you to imagine a Merkaba, which is just imagine a pyramid as big enough, however is comfortable for you. Imagine above your head and below your feet, encompassing you. And also imagine another pyramid upside down, doing the same thing, encapsulating you kind of in a grid work. And move your finger to the second finger, and then breathe in and visualize this Merkaba as you're breathing in. And then breathe out. And it's good to retain that feeling of gratitude as you do this. You do have a luminous egg around you, an energy shape, and just start to see it bathed in white light around you as this Merkaba grows in soliditude around you, and just breathe in. Now move your fingers to the third finger, creating another circuit. And as you do this, just imagine a disc forming around the Merkaba and this energy egg around you. And just imagine it growing and solidifying around you. And then release. Now we're going to move your finger to your pinky, creating a final circuit. And what I want you to do in this moment is move your body all the way, and so that you become bigger and more expansive, still remaining inside of this structure, so that the earth is still small. You're still in the place that you're in, but the earth is just below you. And then as you continue to breathe in, you go, and you're so big, you're so expansive that the universe is just a tiny dot below you. And all around you is a white light for in every direction. All that you can see is this white light. And just get closer to it, and then come to it. And then with your mind in this energy field, ask for this energy to come down into your body, allowing the energy to come in through the top of your head, through your crown chakra, moving down through all of the energy centers in your body, down through your body into the center of the earth. And just see this energy field flow and grow as we breathe for a few seconds in this silence. With our light bodies activated in this moment, we invite our highest good, our greatest purpose. We invite the energies of the infinite into our bodies and into our minds so that we understand and reveal our power and our place in this time that we're in now. And for the next few seconds, just become aware of whatever comes to your mind in this silence. Now, as we bring our attention back, this energy field remains. Our point of attention is in our bodies as we see it, but this energy field remains, protecting us and strengthening us as we move through the world. And we'll just stay there for a second, and then we'll come to our later meditations later. That's all we need to do. We can stop right there. Okay? I didn't want to do a super long one before I spoke, so we'll do one later here. I'll show you how to quantum jump. It sounds to me like you guys are talking about the stuff that I'm really excited about. I don't know. I can talk about a lot of different topics. The main focus of my book is about moving through parallel realities. In my own case, the story that I can give is that I'm struggling and having a hard time. My wife leaves me. I'm in divorce. My business is terrible. It's not doing very well. I'm drinking heavily, and I'm intellectually aware of all these things. I've read these books and tried to meditate, but I'm lost. I'm gone, and I don't know what to do. And things are just getting worse and worse for me. And so there was nothing I could do. There's nobody I could go that would give me help. There's nobody I'm not going to win the lottery tomorrow, or at least I didn't think I could. So I decided if I can change my reality with my own mind, then I'm going to do it. And so then I am in this position where I'm by myself and I go all out. I start meditating for hours at a time and really experimenting with any kind of way to expand my consciousness, from ayahuasca to breathing techniques to, if I'm going to hang upside down, then I'll try that. Anything that I can find, I will try. And so I experimented with all kinds of techniques. And at one point in time, after several experiments, I felt like I had, in the astral or in a vision, met my higher self. My higher self told me that some things might be happening in my future and that I would be protected, that I'd be okay. And then my business starts to improve and I find love again and everything starts to change for me. And I start to use my powers of visualization. And then one night, as I'm sitting there, I'm a Bronco fan. My Broncos won the Super Bowl the same night, and so I'm sitting by the couch, and some people come in and try to rob my house. I was distracted, left the back door open. They jumped the back, and they thought I wasn't there because they looked in, and my bed was empty. And so they tried to open the porch where I had been sitting on the couch, and I heard a scratching of the door, and I heard a voice in my head that said, "You need to get up." And I had this feeling of safety overwhelm me, kind of. I didn't know what it was. And so I see the door open, and oh my gosh, my cats got out. And what am I going to do? I love my cat so much. I can't lose my cat. Did I leave the door open? I was so distracted all this time. So I walk up and I look up, and there's this kid with a gun standing there pointing it right at me. And in that moment, I just knew I needed to shut the porch door. It was 2 panes of glass. So when I shut the door, I turned and ran. I heard a gunshot, and everything slowed down, and I could see, like the Matrix, like a variety of different possibilities before me. I could see myself falling and dying on one end. I could see myself in a pool of blood over here. I could hear the bullet hit the glass. It was 2 panes of glass, so I could hear, and then for like an hour, and then I could hear the next pane of glass, and I'm running in slow motion, and I'm seeing my whole life before my eyes. And I feel something hit my back, and the bullet bounces off my back, shoots me with a 22, so it didn't have that much power. And I go around to the other room, and there's somebody else in my bedroom, and he's been in there, and he starts shooting at me. And I'm seeing the bullets go by me, and I hit the wall. And I'm never feeling scared. My heart rate doesn't race or anything. So I run from there, and I go to the garage. I call the police, and they run away scared. And I'm frozen in this moment because um, I was just a loser, just a loser that had done terrible things, and I was going to die. And what were my kids going to think of me? And what a waste. I was like, I don't even deserve to have a second chance. This bullet bounced off my back. So many people deserve to have a second chance. People I know and love that have died that I didn't deserve. I had the guilt syndrome. Like, why did I get a second chance? So I tried my best to try to justify my second chance, figuring out how I could help as many people as possible with what had happened. Now, this event was, the reason I bring this event up, because it's a starting point, because I came home, went to the hospital. They said they couldn't find anything wrong. I had no clothes on. I had a paper gown. They pull up to the house, and it was the kids across the street. They had been going around to different houses, and it was surrounded by cops, and I couldn't go into my house. It was all taped off, and I'm just in this paper gown, and I'm watching all of this happen. And first of all, the house looks a little different to me. And then I go inside, and I see things in my house. There's a light that I never bought. There's just some objects that are not mine. People call me that I've never talked to, but act like they've been my friend forever. And I have all these weird things start happening. A place where I ran nearby my house, there was a building that was there. I used to run through the lot, and there's a building that's sitting there in this lot, and it's an old building. So the more I had been experimenting with quantum jumping as a part of this process. And so I was definitely in that little lane between realities, and I was experimenting with it. So it was something I was starting to get good at. And in this moment, I was sure that I was in another reality. There were movies that people were talking about that I had not seen before. My kids were different. They liked completely different kinds of music, but I was clearly concerned. Obviously, this is PTSD. My dad was a scientist, so I'm hearing the voice of my dad. Obviously, there's some kind of insanity I have going on in myself. So I go to the doctor. The doctor says I'm fine. I start to research this, and I'm convinced that I had traveled to a parallel reality. There's too many differences. And I start to talk to some physicists, interview Cynthia Sue Larson, who has a book on quantum shifts and reality shifts. And it's a real thing. People have these things happen all the time. Objects disappear, people show up. And so then as I started to get more and more proof of this, I outline this in the book, that I had traveled into a parallel reality. My first point was to try to verify and confirm that I was able to do this. And then with this realization, I figured out why did this happen, and then I wanted to experiment how to explore in different parallel realities. Because if I had traveled to a parallel reality, there was perhaps a version of myself that was dead, that was just dead, and my consciousness had jumped into a version of myself that still lived. And if that was true, beyond that, that meant that I could continue to do this, and I could travel into a parallel reality where I have $100,000, or a parallel reality where I have that new Tesla that I wanted, or I could start using this framework of parallel realities. And so I went on this quest to figure out how to do it. And it's a test. It's like, as I learned, it's kind of like playing the piano. And I started researching things like reality transurfing. And there are ways that you can travel through parallel realities. Now, the first observation that I've found is that why doesn't this happen to everybody? Well, in most cases, we have a higher self that's protecting us from seeing major changes in our reality, because it doesn't want us to go insane. It doesn't want you don't want to wake up in another house. You don't want to wake up with a different partner next to you. So there's a version of you that is constantly protecting you. There's all these vast realities that exist, but you're in your lane. But if it's a matter of life and death, that your consciousness might jump into another. And that's what happened. I think in my case, there's a possibility that it's all insanity. But as I experimented with these techniques, I believe that I did explore these parallel realities. And even beyond the book, I've found some more examples of this. And the biggest thing is, you're going to have crazy things happen when you start to do these techniques and when you start to experiment. What's happening with the law of attraction, in many cases, we're not attracting anything. We're jumping into a reality where we have that thing already, or that thing is about to come to us. So this is the dynamics and mechanics behind the law of attraction and manifestation. If you have followed my podcast, I've also explored the teachings of Dolores Cannon and the law of one. We're moving into a new earth. We have this great awakening. All of us are interested in this stuff for a reason. And those document the fact that we could end up being left behind, and it's a day-by-day decision. In many ways, we're constantly moving through parallel realities, and every day is a choice. And if we continue to make the right choices using what we've learned in exploring parallel realities through quantum jumping by Bert Goldman, or reality transurfing by Vadim Zeland, we can continue to choose on a daily basis and move into a wonderful, glorious existence. It's really the key that unlocks whatever you want. But there's some things to remember, that you're going to see crazy things. You might wake up and there's no more McDonald's or something like that. And how are you going to deal with it? And as I've learned, the more and more I'm able to accept weird things happening in my environment, the more and more I have cool things happening in my life. Now, how do we jump through a parallel reality? I try to explore this in the book. I talk about the mechanics of physics and how it relates to this. We know on a quantum level that when we look at an element of light that's shot through a space in the double slit experiment, that when we observe a light, that it becomes particle. And that same light, when not observed, carries the possibility for multiple possibilities. It becomes a wave. So what we're constantly experiencing is what we're observing on a quantum level. And my book explains why it's happening not just on the quantum level, but on the macro level. And it's a matter of the observation. But as I have gone and explored this further, there is a point at which we move through the reality, and that is our assemblage point. The assemblage point is discussed by Carlos Castaneda in many of his books. I have an episode on that. The idea is we have this luminous egg that we have an energy field around us. And really, we're constantly in multiple realities that are based on our beliefs that we've set up throughout our whole life. Imagine them like strings. We have the string that shows, where I went to school, the string that shows my job, all these different, when we really break down our memories, all of our memories are these strings. And what happens is they kind of come to a point behind us, and that's the assemblage point. And that's kind of like the doorway into the other reality. Vadim Zeeland explored this and has come up with a technique called the plat. We essentially have an energy cord from the back of our head that attaches to that assemblage. And once you start to really raise your vibration and work out your energy, you can access this energy cord that attaches to that assemblage point. And essentially what you're doing is loading up a new film, a new script, which is your new reality. And so when you move into a new reality, we're talking about a big jump into a new reality. It's like you're falling backwards through that assemblage point. I know that all sounds crazy and it sounds advanced. I'm trying to give you in the shortest period of time what I've learned up to this point. The book outlines multiple different ways that you can explore and move through different realities. But I'm giving you the dynamics of it just because you guys appear to be more advanced in what we're talking about. And so what the quantum jumping meditation that we're going to do is involved in bringing the energy up your body. And what I outline in my book and what I recommend is learning some Qigong as best you can. When we look at the quantum level, when we look at a quantum particle jumping from one spot to another, they don't slide. They don't walk along. To jump from one reality to another, you need a burst of energy. That's why you see in old ancient texts, meditation techniques that use explosions or big explosions. Neville Goddard uses an explosion technique. Vadim Zeeland has one. And the reason for that is when you jump to a new reality, it's an explosion of energy. That's what it happens on the small scale, and that's what's happening on the large scale. So the best thing that you can do is kind of shake your body, do some basic exercises. I recommend you look up Lee Holden on YouTube. He has some really basic, wonderful exercises. Tracy knows what I'm talking about. And I have a set that's very similar. What I use personally is the 5 Tibetans. Now, the 5 Tibetans is absolutely marvelous. There's portions of it that you can do. Some people have a difficult time with. But remember, your energies are spinning. So the beginning exercise in the 5 Tibetans is spinning around clockwise 21 times. And then the next is a sort of leg lift where you're pulling the energy that you've just done into your sacral chakra, essentially. And then there is a stretching technique where you lean back and you're pulling it more towards your solar plexus. There is a if you follow, I have some ways to do it, but you can use a bench and then you stretch back and pulling the energy up to your heart. And then sort of a stretch upward that tries to pull it up to your head. I also recommend, if you can or have access, if you can do handstands. The energy going down to your head seems to accumulate and seems to amplify this. But the thing to remember is you don't want to be using your own energy. You might have some success with it, but you have this massive field of energy all around you. And so what you want to do before you do these meditations is you want to pull the energy into your body. The key is to pull it into your body. You can even just hitting your body brings energy. Breathing techniques. So then after I've got this energy in my body, then what I do is I do a fire breathing technique. I pull the energy up. I then use Dr. Joe's breathing technique, which is, if anybody's tried any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations, he uses a wonderful technique that you squeeze the muscles in your perineum, your stomach, up through your body, and you pull the energy up to your head. So what we're doing is a combination of this stuff. Is what we're going to try to do is we're going to pull the energy up to the top of our head. And then we're going to, now the energy is accumulated, we're going to visualize a reality that we want. We're going to try to add all the layers to it. And then we're going to imagine, and you can sometimes feel it. When the energy cord on your back, you don't necessarily feel it on the back of your head. Most people, it's called the plate or plat. You can look up a book called Tufti the Priestess, which goes into more details about the plate or plat. It's part of reality transurfing, but it's related to the assemblage point we talked about. So you'll feel it. Sometimes people will feel a sensation on their lower back. What's happening is this energy cord that's from the back of your head attached. And an interesting side note, Neville Goddard, who is a wonderful teacher of a manifestation, teaches that God is actually lodged in the back of your head asleep. So you don't know how much the Elohim portion of you is right here. So an energy cord forms, and then on the back of your head attaches to that assemblage point. And then you fall back through the assemblage point. Your consciousness falls back through it. You will not be successful the first few times you do this. The energy cord that's attached to the back of your head is like a phantom limb. A lot of that's the best way that I can describe it. A lot of people will describe it. It has always been there. And what does it mean? There's crazy implications for it. And maybe we're sitting on some starship and there's a cord attached to the back of our head. And maybe that's the way we're visualizing. Who knows? But there is some sort of connection between our personal consciousness and all the possible realities. And why is it in behind us? Because we know that what we observe collapses into particles. So there is a portion of our consciousness that literally exists behind us that is more wave than particle. The energies of our body are more wave above our solar plexus and behind our head. So what we're trying to do when we do this jump, now you can do a quantum jump without these things. If you read Bert Goldman's quantum jumping, it's just a matter of hypnosis. And Dr. Joe talks about the energy at the back of your head. So my technique is I'm not giving anything new. I am assembling like I'm a chef in a kitchen, and I'm grabbing up all the different ingredients for what I have found to be successful. And what I recommend, the best way for us to learn how to quantum jump is to create a sort of open source spirituality about this. If this works for me, if you have some other technique that works, I want to hear about it. I'm desperate to hear about it. I think what the best thing for us to do is to bring our knowledge together and then test it. What happens the next day? What happens that when you're doing this? So what will happen is you don't know how long the reality, there will be a bridge of incidents for your own collective sanity that will take you from the instant that you're in now to the new reality. There's almost something, a portion of your consciousness that is so afraid of you going insane because it'll mess everything up, that it wants to make everything seem like it was rational and normal. And so you'll start to see a number of events that will happen. You must believe that your reality has changed. And when we do this, that your reality's changed. And you may have things oftentimes that seem like the opposite. Oh, I desperately want to get this new job. The classic is, I desperately want this new job. And then you lose your current job. Well, of course you lost your current job because you're looking for the new job. Or you maybe wanted something, or you have a flat tire. Maybe that flat tire stopped you from doing something that there's going to be things that happen. Just assume that everything that's happening is for a reason and to your advantage towards your goal when you do this. Because what happens oftentimes is that you'll have something come, you're not aware of the big picture of what's going on for your reality. So then you'll immediately assume that everything's wrong, and it kind of sucks you back into your present reality. So what I'm saying is this will work. Now, the key to accessing the plate, I know there's two different pronunciations, the energy cord, to do the jump is to become the observer. You need to be a portion of you that's outside of reality. The biggest thing that the Tufti, the priestess argument is making is that we're constantly in these scripts that basically, as Neville Goddard says, we're selectors of our reality. So what's happening is right now we're in a script. We're just playing it out. This is the script. I'm in the Zoom script. This was all a part of a script that was written a long time ago. And so you're not that everything that's happening now has already happened. There's a delay between the universe having the reality and you actually seeing the reality. I know that we want to be in the infinite now, and yes, we do want to be in the infinite now. But remember, what's happening right now, this very moment, has already happened. There's a delay between the time our senses perceive the reality that's happening now and what's actually happened. So what we're trying to do is create in the future, because if you want something instantaneously to happen now, that's why it's so hard, because it's already happened. You can get closer and closer to that magic spot of the infinite moment when it's happening. It is a short period of time, but because of all of these accumulating other effects that you've done in creating your reality, it's easier to focus on the future. So before I go any further, and we'll do the meditation, let me ask if you guys have questions on what I'm talking about, this particular technique when we do this meditation. Nobody? All right. Is it complicated? Does it make sense?
I see Joe with his hand up.
Okay, Joe, hey, what's up?
What's going on, Brian? First
Yeah.
off, this is awesome as I'll get out. I'm like jacked up. This is awesome.
Fantastic.
So I've done a ton of breath work and all of these things, and that's something I've
Right.
discovered. I've had this conversation with Kyle. I feel like, and maybe this language will make sense to you, is I feel like I've trained my ego so well that it is very deceitful. So
Absolutely.
it will play tricks on me and make me think that it's my higher self talking to me.
I absolutely 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So I get these moments in these meditations where I'm like, I think I'm getting the right answer, but it's not congruent with my heart. And then I get these battles. So when moments like that happen, and since it seems like you understand exactly what it is I'm talking about, how did you, what I'm trying to find the place where I can shut that off or figure out the gap.
Absolutely. So let's understand what the higher self is. The best scientific explanation, if you go and read the law of one, the higher self, we try to simplify this. We're in the third density. That's density means the denseness of light in this reality. So, you know, when we're molecules and bacteria, it's first density. And it exists kind of in a first density state. Second density is insects and lower forms of animals. Third density is where we're at. We're moving to fourth and fifth density. And all that is an accumulation of light as we move up levels of consciousness. Okay. So according to the law of one, and I have a bunch of episodes and interviews, you can look that information up. Our higher self is 6.5 density. It's you and me 300 million years in the future. Okay. It's you. You've already experienced and gone through all of this. But the higher self is given the ability to go back and help itself through all of its incarnations. But it will not violate free will. So if you have your ego telling you something, then first of all, you know, okay, my higher self wouldn't do that. My higher self, you can ask it questions, it will answer. It will not violate your free will. So there's a way to differentiate that voice. Start asking yourself, what would my higher self say? It seems like your higher self will come in and talk, but your higher self wants to help you, but only if you ask. And I do think we have a portion of a higher self. I've never really talked about this before, but I think we have a portion of our ego that is a portion of the higher self that thinks it knows what's going on, right? It's like a little more advanced than our ego, the selfish part of us that we think of when we say the word ego, which is this part of us that just wants, right? There is a spiritual portion of us that's still kind of learning, and it's an aspect of us that's reaching out and trying to understand the higher self. So why absolutely to do the quantum jump, you'd really want to align your heart and mind, like you said, because you cannot do any of this. You will not have the power or energy to do this if you're doing it from your mind. And so, like you said, when you're aligning your heart and mind, and I have an episode on how to align the heart and mind. When you do that, you can ask yourself questions and you can sense what your heart thinks. Your mind is always chattering. Right. The heart is speaking through the heart. The higher self is kind of speaking through the heart, I believe.
That makes perfect sense.
Through your feelings, right? It's speaking through your feelings. The mind thinks it knows and it ignores the heart. But when it's all heart, it's also wrong. The heart and mind seem to need to cooperate. So there is a portion of our mind that we need to have cooperate with us. So I don't think it's wrong or evil, but you're absolutely right. And I think it's an ongoing battle of understanding. And I think that's what the journey we're on is, really
Totally.
kind of fleshing out and understanding what our higher self is.
Mm.
Part of going through this process is that my higher self is constantly protecting me all the time and stopping me from doing things that I'd love to do. So now I've realized, okay, I need to figure out how to make a relationship with my higher self. And so that, I think you're in a good place, and keep on doing that and listen to the
Cool.
voices that you're getting.
Mm.
And the questions you're asking are probably right, So,
Mm. The will thing got me, because as soon as you said that, it was like the light bulb moment, that it's
right.
like, okay, as soon as I heard that, now I get it. Now I get when the will part of me steps in, and that's the trained part of me,
Right.
the egoic part of me that wants things to stay the same. And when that part steps in, I can feel that that's more of like me willing a moment to like just be, oh, no, I hear what you're saying, but I'm used to this.
Right.
And let me
Right.
try to work it out so that way it stays in my used to this moment and kind of works with you at the same time.
Usually the higher self will answer questions, and it wants to give you advice politely, but it also has its own rules. It doesn't want to intrude. It remembers what it went through, and it probably knows some of the spiritual lessons that you've gone through. It doesn't want you to avoid those. So seems to be like a diplomatic, I almost need to trick my higher self.
Right.
I've even had that thought, like, maybe I can trick my higher self into helping me do this. Like, come on, I don't need those lessons, man. Come on. It seems
Been
all
there,
like,
done that twice.
Yeah, that's enough. Let's just have fun with this, right? So,
yeah.
I
Oh,
get it.
totally cool, man. That helped out a lot. That was
All right.
awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Anybody else? Angela.
I just missed the connection between qigong. Like you mentioned it, but what it help, this kind of energy will help
Right.
facilitate
You
quantum
need
jumping.
to amplify your
Mhm.
energy to do this process. And I made the comparison on the quantum level. When you look at a quantum particle, quantum jump, it does it when there's a big amplification of energy. I had an interview with Cynthia Sue Larson that has a book on quantum jumping. And that was her explanation. The most important thing you can do in quantum jumping is energy. So as I started to experiment with this, I looked at ways to increase my energy. Now, I don't want to go out and do lines of cocaine, because I know there'll be some, it'll work against me, right? So as I've learned, you can get more energy from just your environment in so many ways. So when I combine those techniques, the best ways to amplify your energy are pretty simple techniques, not very difficult. Qigong, as I said, Lee Holden, and simple exercises that essentially awaken your organs and body. We'll do the fire breathing, which also awakens your energy. But that's the reason for the energy, because the more you need that big explosion of energy for it to really, when I've seen it work effectively.
What do you think about, or could you use like running?
Absolutely. You can do anything that will amplify the energy in your body. I have oftentimes like to meditate after my workout, or I'll even run in place, even just kind of anything to amplify my energy. If you've been sitting around in your chair all day and you try to do this, you may not have as much success. The Qigong I recommend because it's simple, and it's specifically focused on energizing your body. But absolutely, if for you running is the way to do it, even cold water has worked for me. Something just to give you that burst of energy that you can use, once you have it, and you don't need to. It's not difficult, but it's make it your focus to bring the energy in at the beginning, and absolutely running can work.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so you guys want a quantum jump, all right? So I'm going to have a point during this meditation, and it's going to probably go for 1 or 2 minutes, where I want you to go into whatever it is you want, whatever reality that you want. And so if you've been doing this, you probably have an idea of what reality that you want to do. So just be aware of that. Before we do this, make sure you have an idea of what you want to do. There's no correct way to do the breathing. I will do some fire breath on this, and I'm going to do it 3 times. I'm going to, every single time we do the fire breath, let me see the best way. We can do 1 jump, or I can do 3 jumps. What we can do is I can take you through 3 jumps, and then we can do a final jump where we bring them all together. I can do 1 big jump, and I'll relate each jump to a. Do you want to do 3 jumps? And we can. So the way I've done it before is we'll do a jump. We'll do a jump, and we'll go to a reality where we're wealthy. We'll go to a jump. We'll to a reality where we're healthy. And we'll do a jump reality where we find our love, and then we'll go to a jump where we have all those things. So if you guys want to do it that way, we can do all 4 things. We can do a jump. I'll guide you through the process of each, and then the last one will be an integration of those things. If you want to do it that way, we can do it that way. So that sound good? All right. Let me see if I have Metaverse as my Alexa. Play the album Light Forms by Metaverse.
Light Forms by Metaverse.
Okay, we have some music with our. All right. So everybody, just let's go back to where we were at. Just remember the energy body that we had developed here. So just forget about the outside world. Put your hand back on your heart and just align your heart for a second and take a deep breath. And then breathe out. And just become aware of the energy moving up your spine, moving up all the way to the top of the universe. And then see that energy shooting down from the top of the universe, down through the crown of your head, down into the center of the earth. And just feel these energies flow as your heart aligns with your mind. And before we do this, I want to bring up a memory of something that you're incredibly grateful for, a moment that you had in the past. Maybe it was a sporting event or a family event, something wonderful that you can remember. And I want you to just go into the feeling of that. To remind yourself of these feelings. Now, we're going to do the fire breath. Now, I like to do it like Tony Robbins. I use my arms to pump up the energy in my body. You don't have to do that, but it'll be like this. I breathe in and out of my nose, and I'm going to try to do it here for 30 minutes to what's natural for me. So just feel this energy coming into your body right now. And move down to your perineum. And awaken the energy in your perineum. See this red energy forming. And in your stomach, the orange energy, the yellow energy in your solar plexus, the green energy in your heart, the blue energy in your throat, the indigo energy in your third eye, and the blue and the violet energy in your chakra, in your crown chakra. See them all aligning. And now we're going to breathe in deep breaths, and we're going to pull the energy up our body. So you're going to tighten your muscle because you do not want the energy to go back down. You want to tighten your sphincter and your stomach. And you pull it up like a straw. You pull it up through the top of your abdominals, up through your chest, up through your throat, into the middle of your head, and just pull this up. And you can hold it, and you can keep on holding it and let the breath accumulate at the top of your head. Now, you may not have to breathe out. That's okay. You're still bringing the breath up to your head. And then just keep tightening your muscles as you breathe out. And then we're going to hold the breath at the top of your head. Remember, where your attention goes, your energy flows. Now, I want you, for the next few moments, to imagine a reality of wonderful wealth, where large sums of money come to you easily and quickly in increasing quantities from not just one source, but multiple sources. And it's not just one time, it's continually. And it increases, and it's for the best interest of all. It's good, legal money that's coming to you in a wonderful way. And you are prosperous and wealthy, and everything always seems to work out for you perfectly. And I want you to imagine everything and all the details of this. You can imagine events or conversations where people are talking about it with you, or things that you own. Just let your mind run wild and bring in all the details of this reality. You're looking through binoculars at a reality. So it doesn't need to be one thing, but you're unveiling, you're lifting the veil to it, because we're going to go there. So the more detail, the more things you can imagine, I want you to see them, and just make sure you feel them. Make sure you taste them. Make it your entire experience. Okay, now hold that. And imagine this phantom limb of energy awakening, the energy that's going back to the back of your head and connecting to that point where all the realities that we have just seen now. Observe this. Connect to that reality. Load up the new script that you've created, whatever you want. And now fall backwards towards that reality. It should be like an explosion. Okay, very good. Now we're going to do this again. We're going to go through the same process again. This time we're going to try the fire breath once again to bring in the energy, doing the same technique that we used before. Feel this energy coming into your body. Now, tighten this energy and pull it up, breathing and pulling it up to the top of your head, tightening your muscles as you did before. All the energy that you just pulled in, all of it, just pull it in like a straw, moving from particle to wave up into the top of your head. Tighten your muscles until you have enough reasonable amount of energy in your head, and then hold it. Keep pulling it up until you feel like you have enough in your head, and then hold it. Now I want you to imagine a reality where you are incredibly healthy. Your body is at its perfect weight and health. You've never felt better in your life. This could be a result of years and years of exercise and diet, and you feel that way now. You don't need to do any of the diet. You don't need to do any of the exercise. That reality exists. I want you to go into that body where you have perfect health, the exact way you've always wanted, that perfect body with perfect health, perfect immune system. Now, jump into that reality. Feel an explosion as you move backward through the assemblage point into the gateway of this reality. Feel your body change. Feel the reality change all around you. Now, we're going to do a third time. So, what I want you to do is we're going to do the fire breath again. We're going to bring in more energy. We're going to go to this reality where we find perfect love. So, here we go one more time. Now pull the energy up in your body, pull it up to the top of your head until you feel like it's accumulated enough. Tighten your muscles, your perineum, your abdominals, through your solar plexus. Feel the energy. Don't let it go back down. Let it pull it up like a straw. Now, I want you to imagine a reality where you find perfect love, the best love. Your relationship that you're in is wonderful. The relationships that you're in are wonderful. It is, of all the realities that you've ever had, of all the different existences of you, you have the perfect, most magnificent love. You express love in a perfect way. And now jump into that reality, falling back through this energy cord. Feel the energy cord awaken and activate, connecting to that assemblage point, and then fall back through it. Feel the explosion as you move into this reality. And now we want to bring it all together. We want to enter a reality where all of these things are together at one time. So we will do one more jump. We'll do a short fire breath again, just to bring in a little more energy. Now pull the energy up into the top of your head. Feel the energy flowing through your energy centers and stopping at each point, pulling itself up to your third eye. Feel it collecting there. Now, for a brief moment, I want you to imagine a reality where all these things are happening. You're healthy, you're in love, you're wealthy. It's a perfect life. It is wonderful. Maybe it's a comment from friends. Think of anything that comes to your mind. You're seeing it. You're not trying to imagine it as if it's a piece of art that you're creating. This is a reality that exists and you're looking at it. It exists right now. Touch it. And now jump. Activate that energy cord that connects to your assemblage point and fall back through into this reality. And now you are in this reality. When you open your eyes, the environment that you see around you is in a different environment than before. You are in this reality. You may see things that look like the old reality, but slowly a bridge of incidents will pull you into the energy and timeline of this reality. Let it happen. Let it happen. You are maneuvering this reality to connect to the one you're in now, and you are healthy. You are wealthy. You are in a perfect expression of love. And just sit in this and know this amazing change that you've just made, and just realize you can have anything you want in the future. This is just the beginning. You are God. You can have and do anything that you want. This is your universe. Do with it what you wish. It is your creation. Now just come back to yourself whenever you're ready and look for evidence. So I'm telling you to look for evidence. You're going to see it, but it's important. Look for evidence. You'll see evidence of changes, and make sure you note them. The more you see and note this evidence that you see around you of these changes that you've made, the more that you'll align yourself with the belief that it's happened, because your higher self wants to keep you sane. If you see crazy changes, don't tell anybody about it. Just accept it. The crazy changes are a part of the new universe that you've entered. You're not insane. You're completely sane. Just don't be worried about any crazy changes. You're in another reality now, and it's a blessing, and it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you. So
All right, man.
Brian, that was probably one of the most profound meditations I've ever done. And it's just
All right.
incredible to, you know, that vision that I just painted was pretty much like the vision of my dream life. And how cool is that, you know? Like
That's
to be able
awesome.
to feel that and visualize that. And I know, and a lot of people on this Zoom know, that by doing this repetitively, that's who we become. You know?
Absolutely.
So I can't thank you enough. Do you mind if we, and just before we open it up, I just want to let you know that this is the group of people that are now going to go and investigate this stuff on a whole nother level. Like this
All right,
is your
man.
tribe,
Do it.
man. So thank you so much. Does anybody want to share anything or how that relates? Or so
All I can say is if you're watching right now, if you're watching TV, it's really easy to get pulled into negative stuff. Remember that all the realities exist. So there's a reality where it's evil vaccine reality that you hear about, like where it's all evil dictatorships, and all the conspiracy theories that you read about are real. And there's a reality where all of it's ridiculous. So stop worrying about what's happening in the outside world and create and choose the reality that you want to live in. None of it matters, because you are the one that's creating the reality. So choose the reality where you have all the freedoms and all the things that you want, and stop worrying about that stuff out there. That's what I want the most. And hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, thank you. Like, it's just so amazing to link up with other people who are on the same frequency and broadcasting that wave, and like the same heart's desire to, like, you know, connect with other people who are doing similar work. And I just honor you so much and thank you. That meditation was phenomenal. I just spent so much time in my, like Kyle said, my dream life, you know, where people are like, you know, getting healthy organic food and taking care of their bodies and connecting with their communities, and nobody's wearing masks or gloves, and it was just blissful.
Exactly.
It was amazing.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing is, imagine realities that imply everything's better. Like, imagine you're going to a concert, because that implies that everything's better. If we all start imagining things, not just that everything's better, but things that are happening that imply everything's better, we'll see more of it. That's what I think. We're still just children in this in this world of reality creation. We're just learning. So this is all a lesson for us, right?
Yeah, Brian, I'm going to get a little crazy here. Do you think that maybe, I like how you said we're just learning, but I look back at past civilizations and you said things like pyramids and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we're maybe relearning? Like there's an
Absolutely.
unlearning, and then there's like a relearning? Because I feel like this magic that we're doing right now, because it is magical, existed at a point, and it's somewhere along the lines, like through all these distractions, like the phones, the sports figures, the movies, the food, and the junk, like distracted us from the magic, and we're like relearning now.
Yes, this is actual old knowledge. The Carlos Castaneda stuff, which he's not entirely credible, but he's getting, because there's some, you know, you can listen to my discussions of him, but the evidence that he's talking about is coming from Toltec wisdom. Toltecs could have existed beforehand. So we know when we're talking about things like the assemblage point, there have been other Toltec shamans that have come along that were talking about exploring different dimensions, and they've talked about adjusting and changing the assemblage point. So that information is coming from ancient wisdom. This is not new things. Right. All the stuff we're talking about, like you said, pyramids. If you read the Law of One material, the pyramids were 75,000 years ago as a way of helping people to awaken their energies. You know, and so all of the stuff we're talking about it appears that the human civilization doesn't last very long, like 70,000 years at a time, and then it's destroyed. So we never carry these teachings, but we have an opportunity now to evolve and take these teachings. Hopefully we can accelerate what we're doing, and
hell yeah,
we have incredible potentials for the future, where we have this, imagine all of us being able to create our realities with abundance for everybody and complete control. It's an amazing vision, and I believe it. People don't believe it. It's believable. It's something we can live in a world that's so magnificent, so incredible, where everybody gets exactly what they want in abundance, and it's completely getting better. And you know, I think that that's what we're seeing. We can see more of it, and I want to help as many people. The thing that's so scary right now is that I believe that we're getting, it is a reality revolution, that when we created, our thoughts became reality back in the 90s, for instance. Maybe it would take a year or several months. It would take a long time. So we really didn't see the link between our thought and reality. And nowadays, we have a thought, it becomes reality in a week. It seems like there's a quickening happening.
Yes.
You guys all know what I'm talking about. I see everybody shaking their head. So because of that, we have all this turmoil in the world, because people are no idea that they're doing it. So we're seeing everybody's fears all up in our grill every time we turn on the TV, because people are just driving, are in a bus without a bus driver, and they're just letting all their fears become reality.
Oh, dude.
Right?
So right, man. Fuck.
That is the purpose behind my podcast, The Reality Revolution, is that we need absolutely to teach people how to think.
Yeah. How to manage themselves.
How to manage their thoughts, because you're creating a reality and it's affecting everybody.
God
We're all
almighty.
in it together. So
totally, like what you just said, you're creating a reality and it's affecting everybody.
It is.
And the fact that people don't realize that is, you're right. It is the missing link. It's the thing that I think people need to understand, is that there's so much responsibility you hold as just for being a human.
We do.
We hold a lot of responsibility. We're like we are the creation creatures, you know.
We are each other, though. Another thing is we all come from the same source, and you are me. And so that realization is also important. I want you to have the best life because you're me. At some point in time, we'll have a full memory of each of our lives. We'll remember this Zoom conversation because we'll have a full memory of all of our lives, because we are all one. And that's an exciting time as well. So.
Hell yeah, Brian. Dude, you're my homie, and I've only just met you.
All right, well, nice to meet you too. I had a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, it was. Thank you so much, man.
All right. So
I have a really quick, a cool story to share with you guys about this afternoon. Just talking about how we all create our own reality, right? So our daughter, she's 5 years old, and she loves this Four Non-Blondes song, you know, that What's Up song.
Oh, yeah.
So we're like rocking out the, volumes all the way up. We're on our way to Newport. She's singing her little heart out. We get to Newport. We're in the middle of nowhere, like in this little like woodsy area. And there's these two random hippie girls blasting Four Non-Blondes, the same song. And it's like, I told her, I'm like,
in a tree.
Yeah, and one of them was in a tree. Like it was so perfect. And I just told her, like, you created that, like you manifested that. And she did. And she's like, so she's learning it at 5 years old. And we're watching her like, whoa, she can manifest anything. This kid's powerful, you know?
My kids are amazing. My kids right now are way better than I am at it. They're playful and fun, but they're creating realities. It's kind of, I'm jealous of my kids. So, yeah.
Well, they don't have all the story, all the jargon as to like maybe why it couldn't be true. They just believe it,
right?
You know. So
we are better manifestors when we're kids. I believe 100%. Yeah.
Well, Brian, I just want to thank you too. I resonate so much with everything you've been sharing. I'm a mindfulness coach, so being the observer and the chooser, and a lifelong, 20 years now meditating. I just love how you have this great capacity to experiment with different techniques and bring them together in a way that we can all have an awesome experience together. So I really enjoy
I appreciate it.
Today, and I look forward to checking out your podcast. I hope you'll be on Joe's podcast.
Just let me know. I'll be on anybody's podcast. Just let me know. Right? Just email
Thank
me.
you for coming tonight. This has been super fun. I had a lot of fun quantum jumping with you and the rest of
Thank you. welcome to your new reality, man. It's awesome.
The
All right.
reality you choose.
Anything else? All right. I'll see you guys later.
Alrighty.
We're
That
good.
was quick.
Oh yeah.
Kristen, do you want to do the dedication of merit?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So that I think we just generated some pretty high frequency energy, and with all that quantum jumping, that was so cool. So we will dedicate the merit of this meeting to all of those who are awakening at this precious time. May our efforts to better ourselves help shift planetary consciousness from fear into love. May this energy ripple out into the world and awaken those with closed hearts, illuminate closed minds, and inspire all to live within the presence of compassion and generosity.